Yeah, I'll get it loaded again, and we have a couple of counselors that must have made a pit stop. We good? Okay, welcome back, everyone. If I could have a motion to come back into open session, please.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we come out of executive. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. I move that we come out of executive session and further attest that all matters discussed were pertinent only to the motion for closure.
Second.
Okay, I need a roll call, please.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Hooker?
Aye.
Counselor Eby? Aye. Counselor Letterman?
Aye.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Corey?
Aye.
Okay, do I have a motion concerning item number 1 under public hearings?
Mayor, I make a motion to reverse the decision of the Planning Commission on case CU plus PV 2024-32 for 2332 Sutter Drive, subject to local, state, and federal laws, and with a 2-year permit to operate, commencing with the issuance of a certificate of occupancy. Second.
Any other discussion? Okay, can I get a roll call, please, ma'am?
Counselor Corey?
Aye.
Counselor Hooker?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
No.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Letterman?
No.
And Counselor Jackson?
Nay.
We have a tie.
Aye.
Motion passes.
That's the best that we could do for now.
I appreciate you guys. I'll let you know how it goes in 2 years.
Well, we'll be right there. Okay. Next, we have public hearing for case PVC 2024-39 to vacate unbuilt right-of-way at 105 Deer Trail, Lot 8, Block 7 of the Pine Cliff subdivision.
Mayor and council, the item in front of you was heard on April 2nd. 19 letters were mailed in, 0 were returned. The response received were in person and writing. Staff finds that the proposed request for the vacation is for a section of the road that was built outside of the platted designation. The road itself is impacting a set of stairs for the applicant to access his main building. P&Z unanimously approved the recommendation to move forward for the vacation of the plat to allow access. The road in question that's currently built is not being impacted in any way, shape, or form.
Okay. Is there anybody here that would like to speak to this? Be sworn in? No? Okay. Won't have any public input, so we'll close it, and I'll ask for a motion.
Mr. Mayor, move to approve case PVC 2024-39 to vacate unbuilt right-of-way at 105 Deer Trail, Lot 8, Block 7 of the Pine Cliff subdivision.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? No? Roll call, please, ma'am. Item number 2.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
Aye.
Counselor Letterman?
Lost the phone.
Okay.
Okay. Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Hooker?
Aye.
And Counselor Corey?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. Item number 3, public hearing for case RZ 2024-52, ordinance 2024-2, petition to rezone 244-238 First Street, lots 26 through 30A, Block 2 of Wingfield Addition from C2 to R1.
Mayor and council, The item in front of you is a recommendation for rezoning from a C2 to an R1 section. The three properties in question are currently zoned commercial. They have residential in front of them and surrounding them. The properties are on First Street. They're built to single-size family residential as it is. The staff finds that the current zoning of commercial is potentially adverse to the surrounding area, as the property sizes do not meet requirements for commercial development as platted currently. And the properties sit higher than they do from the commercial landing as currently established. P and Z unanimously approved the rezoning moving forward. And staff suggests the recommendation.
Is there anybody here that would like to speak for this or against it? Swearing in? You want to? Okay, come on in. You want to swear him in, Zach?
Your name? Edwin Kraus. Do you swear or affirm that the testimony you're going to give now is going to be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth? I swear. Yeah, all right.
Yes, sir.
Well, excuse me, it's my intent to demolish an old cabin that's on this property and rebuild it as a single-family primary residence for myself. Existing properties, residential properties adjacent, and I think originally this block was zoned C1 that supported residential, and at some point in time, it was rezoned to C2. It doesn't support the houses that are there now in a rebuild fashion.
So this is all contiguous, so there wouldn't be spot zoning or anything like that?
No, sir.
Yeah, and the property is currently higher. There's no access to Burrow Lane, to Sudreth. So the only access is onto First Street, which the other block, the separate side is residential, and really that's the only use that could be.
Okay. Does anybody have any questions of Mr. Ed?
None.
Okay. All right, anybody else want to speak to this? Okay, we'll close the public portion, and you have any more questions of Michael or Stephanie? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion to approve case RZ 2024-52, ordinance 2024-02, position to rezone 244 to 238 First Street, lots 26 through 30A, Block 2 of the Wingfield Addition from C2 to R1.
Second.
Any further discussion? Roll call, please, ma'am.
Counselor Hooker?
Aye.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
Aye.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Corey?
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
And then we'll move on to item number 1, and I apologize, Mr. Sinclair. Took us so long to get here. I understand you have a flight to catch. Discussion and possible action on appeal submitted by Don Sinclair for denial of domestic well permit for 107 West Riverside Drive, continued from the April 9th, 2024 council. And there was some, does anybody have the minutes on what we were requesting?
We were requesting to see if he had any water rights, if there was any type of documentation of past wells and so on.
Okay.
That's correct, Mayor.
All right.
That's correct.
Okay. So that's what yes, sir, Mr. Sinclair. We're here to talk, were you able to find any of that stuff?
Yes, sir.
Okay, awesome.
So staff's not, last time staff spoke.
Oh, yes.
Try to speak out a little.
No, you go ahead. I was just, because we kind of picked up from last time, and then I think our big holdup was, did you have something that showed that you had water rights in a well? Is that okay with you ladies that we asked that first? So that's what I wanted to find out. Did we find that information?
The questions I remember was, did my deed also include the transfer of water rights when I bought the property? I said I didn't know, I didn't have the deed with me. Went back, looked, it does not have the water rights in the deed itself. So I retained Tom Martin,
Okay.
attorney, to help me look back into the state of New Mexico, the laws of how water rights are transferred. And so if you go through the history and law in the state of New Mexico, and if the original well had a purpose for irrigation, a domestic well had purpose for irrigation, then there's a conveyance of the water rights along with the land rights. So through that state law, that original well that was up there that I used, that the purpose was for irrigation, for domestic irrigation, entitled me to those water rights. And if you go back, there's a reference I want to make sure we clarify on record, and I did not have this correspondence because, to be honest with you, I had trouble getting on the website to find it. That being said, we referenced that the state engineer had communicated with the village about the water rights. And what they said is, there does not appear to be any other water rights owned by the applicant or at the well location or address. But what we said in the record last time is I had no water rights. So if the state engineer had believed I had no water rights, why would he issue me a replacement well permit?
They do that all the time. And then it's up to the village because we're bound, they issue water, drilling wells and all this stuff, and then it's subject to the village's ordinances because we're tasked with protecting water rights within our village, and so we're very strict on that. So the OSE, they do that all the time, and the guy that did that was new, and we called to ask why they're still doing that, and they said it was a mistake, is what we were told.
Well,
And so it is,
that, he explained to us that we really didn't need village permission, it was up to the driller of the well.
well, then we'll
So
go to the
it's
Supreme
a
Court.
function
We've
of
already
who you
been there.
talk to and when, so.
Yeah, we've already been there, and we can defend those all day long, but, so, I still don't hear that there's rights, because every right that is in this valley has been adjudicated, so that somebody has a piece of paper saying, here's your water right, from 18, whatever that comes on, and so for somebody to say, well, it's conveyance of, for the purpose of, and whatever, without having an actual form is the concern that I have, because then anybody can say it.
Well, if you look documentation I sent, it shows state law where if you have you don't have to have a state permit for that well, because there's wells that were drilled that were not permitted. This was probably one of them. That being said, there's no documentation from the state, but it says in state law, which I've referenced, is that you have the ability, because that well was used for domestic use and had that purpose, okay, solely for the irrigation landscape, that you perfected those water rights at that time with the use of that water for that purpose. And so once you do that, then it would say, can you convey those water rights? And it basically says, the state of New Mexico, the cases we quoted, says that you can convey the water rights with the conveyance they are attached to the land. So the water rights come from the original use of the well. There doesn't have to be there's nowhere that it says that we could find in case law in New Mexico, it says it has to be documented for those water rights to exist. It has to be for the that the well existed and for the purpose of that well, which is what I stated in documentation I sent to the council.
I haven't seen that documentation. Did we get it?
Been here for a week.
It's what you.
Oh, it's right there, that?
Yes.
Because the references for the beneficial use, what was the beneficial use of the water?
Well, I understand that, but it seems like with this logic that we're getting from this documentation, I don't know. I'm looking to see, go back on the background. Why do we even have the codes that we have now? It just seems like anybody could have beneficial use for residential water.
Depends on how long the well's been there.
But do you have a well? That's what there was a well that was there.
The existing well is no longer producing water. That's why we went for not a new well that was referenced last time, but a replacement well. That's why the permit from the Office of State Engineer said was for a domestic replacement well that would have 1 foot acre limits. So the water rights were perfected with the original well and then conveyed to me when I bought the property in 2000 through the transfer of the land.
What do you, yes, sir.
I think that's what we're trying to get the nuance of is by your interpretation language of it is that it was there because it existed and you bought the property. But what we were looking for and what we're thinking is there should have been one granted somewhere in there, and then that would have come along, but we don't have that.
You need to, I don't understand why we could not find where it says you have to have documentation. It says for the beneficial use of the well. The well exists, beneficial use was for domestic irrigation. So those water rights were perfected through that original well.
Even though the well could have been dug illegally. That's what I'm saying is we have no proof. Everybody else has to have proof that they had a water right. Because when you live in the village, your water is provided by the village. That's part of living in the village.
This water was before the village water system was put in.
It doesn't matter. Those are all on there, and the people that have existing water wells have proof that they have a water right. When you see somebody watering their grass in the village and we get all these complaints, they have that water right for so many gallons.
Where did it come from?
They bought it with their property. It was listed with their property, just like when you buy your property, this water right goes with it. And so that is listed in their original deed.
I'm saying that we got it through the conveyance, but we got.
I know,
the
but
water
that's
right-
like osmosis.
We're debating whether there's documentation or not, or whether it was perfected through the original use.
Right. I'd say documentation is what we have to live by. I mean, that's what we've been operating off of since we've had the water system here. And we've gone through quite a few of these where people, that years ago, there was a water well there and they can find where the water well was, it's been capped, but then they want to re-drill the water well and it's always been denied. So what do y'all say to this? I mean, I was expecting that we would find some documentation in your deed that said that you had an acre foot of water, or you had something that you could use, because any homeowner could come in and say, I'm doing this for my residential purposes. And in fact, we've had people that say they want to have their own garden. And so they wanted to drill a water well to just do their garden.
But this isn't a new well. This well has been there for a long time.
But we don't even know if it was a legal well. That's the issue.
We don't know there was an illegal well. The case that we quote said, a water right in a groundwater well can be established by the continuance of the well, provided that the water is put to beneficial use,
Continuous.
which it has been. It's been for irrigation of that property.
But when's the last time it was used? It's continuous.
Till it ran out of water last August, when
So
we
that's
filed
when
a
you
new
had to?
replacement well permit.
Man, we got the OSC jumping up our backs on one side to tell us we can't do any of this stuff, and then the OSC sends us this stuff and says, no, you need to do it. So I'm a little conflicted. Does anybody have any answers for me?
Just to kind of clarify with the village, with the proof of beneficial use, we have to file that with the Office of State Engineer to prove that we've put our wells to beneficial use.
Oh, yeah,
and
we
how
just
much
had to do
water.
that.
And so that is also a document proving those water rights as well. And so going through those files, I didn't see a proof of beneficial use document. We don't know, he's stating that the well was drilled at one time, but we don't have document actually stating when the well was drilled. So was it drilled before the water system was put in? We don't know. And so,
Just in a reference, we don't know. These notes are here and the original owners have passed away. So that being said, here's what you do know. The original structure was built in 49. There was no water system up there. They had to have a well to have water for that home. So my guess, it was drilled between 1949 and 1951. If not, how would they have had water for the purposes of building the house? The original structure was nothing but an outhouse and a cistern. Then the second structure they built was in 1950. That's where I assume the well was drilled. That would be what practical sense would tell me. I don't know.
You move the microphone over there so they can hear you.
yeah, and we also have Olivia on as well.
Okay,
This is Tom Martin on behalf of Mr. Sinclair. I'd like to have something to say from the stand, just to approve.
Tom, if you'd like to go ahead, and I'm happy to respond to you, on behalf of the village, so, by all means, please go ahead.
this well is an old well, clearly was drilled as a domestic well, probably in the time period that, Mr. Sinclair has indicated. The water has been put to beneficial use, and as you know, establishing a water right in this state is done by putting water to beneficial use. You don't necessarily have to declare anything. The declaration doesn't per se establish the water right, it's the criteria of putting it to beneficial use. So when I looked at this, it was pretty clear to me that we had a water right that I would classify as a domestic right in that particular well. And when Mr. Sinclair's well reached a point that it could not produce, and he asked to drill a replacement well, which was done, all we are doing is taking the original water right, using that same water right, and using it through a replacement well. This is not a new well. And if he's not allowed to do that, then what is happening here is an established water right that he has. The village is absolutely taking his property right away. And that can't be done. We've dealt with this kind of stuff in Eddy County for years. And I can tell you, this kind of thing does pop up. And Mr. Sinclair has a water right, and he has an obligation if he wants to keep his water right and protect it. If that well has gone bad, to drill and replace the well, which is obviously what the state engineer allowed. And I haven't. If you think the state engineer is going to allow a replacement well when they don't think there's a water right there, then District 2 is much different than District 2 I deal with. So to me, where you are with this is purely a replacement well to continue the water right that he has. And I looked at the ordinances. I read your ordinance in Ruidoso. It doesn't say much about replacement wells other than define it. Everything in that ordinance talks about a new well. This is not a new well. It is a replacement well. I can add more, but I'll stop at that point. I think that, and frankly, I'm not sure that the city, Mr. Sinclair, even has to have a permit based on that ordinance. But he has asked for that, and I think it's highly appropriate. And it doesn't interfere with what's been the existing situation, as far as the water system in Ruidoso. This thing predates that water system up in that area. So that would be all I have to say. I'll be perfectly happy to answer additional questions.
Okay, thank you very much. Livia?
Good afternoon, all. I understand where Mr. Martin is coming from in general. However, based on the evidence that's been presented to the council to date, especially given the communications from the state engineer's office that there is not a water right owned by Mr. Sinclair or located on the property.
That's not what he said.
Mr. Sinclair would like to file an application with the state engineer's office and have his domestic water right perfected, and provide that information to the state engineer's office that shows he has in fact had a domestic water right on, and his predecessors in interest have had a water right on that property since perhaps the 1940s or 50s, based on what's been alleged today. And that is something that needs to go through the state engineer's office. The state engineer has communicated to the village that there is not a valid water right on that property. And so a new domestic water right was created for Mr. Sinclair via that permit, limited to 1 acre foot. In light of that, with the village ordinance 86-33, it's going to be under, let's see here, C5. It specifically states the domestic well permit application shall be denied if the applicant's property boundary is within the village boundary, is within the boundaries of the village, and the boundary of the property on which the well is being drilled is within 300 feet of a water distribution sworn evidence in front of the village council regarding continuous beneficial use, despite Mr. Sinclair's arguments to the contrary. And while Mr. Martin has discussed the history and the state of water law in New Mexico, in this particular case, based on the evidence that's been presented, it just does not match to the situation to allow the village council to
Can I ask a question?
grant the application if, based on your ordinance. If the council decides differently, that is, of course, within your authority.
Go ahead, Mr. Sinclair.
Can I ask Lydia what the word "other" means to her?
Who?
Does not mean not.
Oh, Olivia.
Livia, okay? So he says, be any other. He did not state, Jack did not state in this email to you that I had no water rights. She keeps referencing it. I want her to show me where it says I had no other water rights. So obviously, I must think the word "other" is defined a hell of a lot different than she does. Or she needs to show me where it says there that I had no, that Jack says that I have no water rights. It does not say that in the communication. Now, if you have other communication you haven't provided me, that's a different story. But the communication is of record from the last meeting does not state that Jack, the Office of State Engineer does not state that I did not have water rights.
So I got a question. On August 25th, 2023, this state engineer issued a replacement well. Permit.
That's correct.
Okay. Without record of existing original well permit. So what was that? That's the screw up that we got from the John and Juan and those guys at OSC?
Correct. And that they also did not notify us of this. And so going back, we were notified because somebody saw a well right
Being
now.
drilled, sure.
And so we did some research. I had a phone call with Jack concerning this well that same day that this email was sent out, or the day before, I apologize. And when he was typing this up, and it's probably how he typed it up, was when I spoke with him, when he was referencing the water rights that was shown on this that he's referencing, it was the water rights that came with this new permit. It was not prior water rights.
Oh.
And so, and I apologize that he did not make that clear on this email, but when I spoke with him on the phone, that is what he told me.
Mayor,
Contradicts what he told us when he issued the permit.
And this Jack guy, who's Jack?
Jack is our new Hondo Basin Water.
He's the one that they told us that made the mistake
Yes.
and that they wouldn't be doing that anymore. That's when we called them to ask them about what
I have
happened.
no idea who they is.
Juan, the OSC, the big shot that Jack works for. So Jack seems like he needs to have his ass over here straightening this stuff out because it seems like that we get all this stuff put together.
I don't have what back there. Can I see?
What were you gonna say, Joe?
Who signed it?
I got a question for the legal minds here.
Vanessa, she signs everything.
Mr. Sinclair was issued it appears a water right for 1 acre feet prior to him commencing, the drilling of the well issued by the state permit. Now, the whole premise of us being here today, instead of just making a decision last month, was that we wanted to be clear that there were no hurdles as far as, or implications as taking of rights, because we have been in that situation before where taking somebody's water rights or their access to water when the courts deemed that we had unjustly acted or wrongfully acted, that is what we wanted to avoid. So my question is that water right issued by the state engineer, and if that is valid, then would the village or not be liable as far as a taking of a right and denying access to that water or drilling a well?
This is Tom Martin. My answer to you is, in general, yes. Mr. Sinclair Sinclair has a water right. That water right contains an irrigation right, and an irrigation right is pertinent to the land. It automatically passes with the deed. You do not have to specifically refer to that water right in the deed when it is an irrigation right pertinent to the land. Mr. Sinclair doesn't lose that water right by non-use, which I heard that reference there, until the state engineer would send a letter saying that it would appear that you're not putting water to beneficial use and you have X amount of time to put it to beneficial use, or else action would be taken that you might lose the water right. That has not occurred. So that water right is there. And what the village is getting ready to do is to say to Mr. Sinclair, if they deny this permit, we're not going to let you use your water right and put it to beneficial use as you are obligated to do under state law. And that will cause him to lose that water right. This is purely a replacement well. And that's exactly what the state engineer was doing. There's allegations here that the state engineer made an error. I don't see that error at all. It's obvious they recognized that there was a water right out there, and they would have never issued a permit for a replacement well. You don't have to have a declaration to have a water right. There's a lot of law on that, and what the purpose of the declaration is. The inference here is you have to have a declaration. That's just simply not true. Is it preferable to have declarations? You bet. And people go in and file declarations. I've had people file declarations all the time when we remember back in the 1880s. It happens, but there's years that go by where that water is put to beneficial use, and it is recognized. For instance, in the Ronald, you had the usage of water coming out of the Brendo and others, but you didn't get that recognized as a water right until a Hope decree was entered in 1931. So you can't just say it's not there in writing, it doesn't exist. I submit to you it does exist. And that what you're getting ready to do is you're getting ready to take this man's water right. And I would suggest that that's not a very good idea.
Well, thank you for that suggestion. Olivia, do you have anything else?
We've got a couple of things. So in the past, the village council has run into issues, as Mr. Martin discussed, regarding takings. That is different than, those facts are different than what has occurred in this case. In this case, we don't have a water right that has a priority date, other than that which listed on the date of the permit. So again, going back to the 1940s and 1950s, perhaps dates, that we have no evidence of that, and Mr. Sinclair has not put any of that forth other than his unsworn allegations today. In regards to whether a water right goes away because of non-use, there are two different legal theories in New Mexico. One is forfeiture, which, as Mr. Martin discussed, requires the state engineer to give notice and a 1-year period of cure. In this case, that forfeiture is not at issue. We'd be looking at abandonment. That is the willful non-use of a water right that requires intent to not use the water right. If this water right has been a valid use of water throughout time, and again, I want to be clear that I'm making statements that are if statements. If the council views this as a replacement well, then again, under the village ordinance, the council does have the ability to limit a diversion to 0.2 acre feet per annum because of the village ordinance. And so while this new permit is for 1 acre foot, the village council does have the ability to limit the diversion to 0.25 acres. have the ability to limit it to 0.25 acre feet.
Well, thank you for that, but it seems like if we were to limit him, we'd be right back in the same box of taking water rights, if there is a water right. That's what's so confusing to me, all the meetings I've had with OSE over the years. You either have it or you don't. And here we do, but we don't. And then, go ahead, yes, ma'am.
Mayor, I'm referring to the permit application that was filed with the state engineer. And on the actual application in the comment, there's a box for comments, and it says, existing well is not in working condition and not registered with the state office of the state engineer. Drilling a replacement well and in parentheses new. So this permit itself, the office of the state engineer said it was not registered with the office of the state engineer, the original well that was being replaced. So at that time, Mr. Baden was new and didn't realize he needed to check with the village. In their records, there was not, that well was not registered with them. The water right did not exist. So that is where it's different in this case than in other cases. There was not any water right assigned at the office of the state engineer at that time until this permit was approved and he was given the 1 acre foot.
Well, see, and that's what we've always been told. And now then we're telling if you have a well and it's been producing all these years, and then you have to rework it, then that well didn't really exist.
And I think it was, mistake on their part for, not checking with us. And we do have that email from the office of the state engineer explaining that that was a mistake, that they were supposed to have checked with us and looked at our ordinance, which would override whatever regulations they had on their part. But, so I think that's where all this confusion has started. It was, the office of the state engineers had come to us in the first place. We might not even be in this, difficult moment right now.
So I'd like to get Zach's view.
Well, I'm not making a comment, it is not unheard of in this part of the country to have wells that the state engineer does not have any record of, and that have been producing. I've run into that in my practice over the years. So I don't find that to be terribly shocking that that type of situation occurred, particularly with older wells. That doesn't mean we don't have water rights. The other thing I would pass on about the reduction in the amount of water you can produce, there is a case out of western New Mexico where the state engineer came in and authorized a well to be, a diversion point to be moved, and without going through all the technical side of that, in what they call the Templeton Doctrine, the state engineer came in and reduced the amount of water that could be pumped or used, and the court came back and said that the state engineer had actually adjudicated a water right and had reduced it, and the state engineer had no jurisdiction to do that, only the adjudication court. And what I'm hearing out of this particular ordinance, I would submit to you all that your ordinance may very well be stepping into an area where the village doesn't even have authority to do that. It can only be done through the adjudication court that adjudicates water rights. So that adds to the takings issue.
The only thing is, it's hard for me to believe everything that we've done in Upper Canyon and all of these areas and the people that have tread over all of this area, the engineers, the OSE, the FEMA, what's the guy, the river, whatever, everybody there, we documented wells after wells of people, and there we go. We got one right here pumping it all the way, and we didn't even know it. And so it's just that before we've always relied on that there was something that was attached to the property that said you had water rights. Now you're saying, no, you don't, but in the future, we had it at one time, I can't find the wellhead, but there was one here, so do we have water rights here now? Because we've had people that have come in wanting to do that they swear that there was a well there when they were a kid, and now then they want to plant their garden and they want to use well water. So they've got the money, they'll drill the water well. So we've had these things, so we've always relied on the state to say, is there water rights allocated to this. And that's what we asked for this last time was, do we have that? And I thought that's what we were going to have today instead of the definition of other, that he's saying clearly to me that he issued this with those wells, but they don't see any other water rights.
Basically, it gets down to this. You're basically saying that the only way that I can have a water right is if it's documented that it could be perfected no other way.
Inside the village
And we
limits.
disagree with you.
Right.
That's what we can go around about he said, because I can repeat what he said when we were up there, okay? Because we went to Roswell twice. I mean, this wasn't a mystery. It's not a mystery well. Drive you up there and show you exactly where it says today and where the well house is. So it's not somebody, there's a kid that thought they had a well. I've got a damn well and I've been using it, okay?
Right.
So we're down to one item. This is what it gets down to. So it's down to, are you going to say that the only way that I can finish this well is if there's documentation, or do you agree that it could be, because I think about New Mexico as a state. Think rural agriculture. There have been wells drilled out there. And I mean, I grew up in Farmington, La Plata, Aztec, Bloomfield, all that irrigation out there, they didn't have permits. They perfected through agricultural use over time. So I'm sorry, I'm struggling in the state of New Mexico that everyone had it documented that they had water rights in a rural agricultural area. Just like Tom said, we've all watched Hondo Valley. Go, I don't want to get in y'all's neighborhood. I know y'all.
Well,
think
yeah,
this
we
stream
fight
is
with that all the time because we pass this. I guarantee you we'll have a bunch of letters coming from those folks down there because every drop of water has been adjudicated. That's what's been beat into our heads at every lawyer. We fought this since I've been on the council 12 years, all the time, that it's every drop is adjudicated. And so we don't give out any more water rights because we're responsible for the citizens that we have to provide water for. And so you are to protect that. Not that you're letting anybody punch holes in the ground because you may contaminate the well. You may deplete the wells. You may cause other issues. So that's what we've been trained by the Office of State Engineer and the many lawyers and multi-millions of dollars that we've pushed into that. That's why we go off of, is there a piece of paper that goes with the property? And it's an easy deal. If that's the case, drill on. But we're here that it was there, but it's not legal well because it's never been documented. So does that make it not exist? No, obviously not. You've been using it all these years. So then it comes down, was it there? And is it a takings if we deny it? And so it comes down to that. I guess you guys are all Solomon because the OSC's not one. The district judge ain't gonna be one. So it's just, you gotta decide what you want. Was there a well there at one time producing? Obviously there was. We don't have a piece of paper that says, here is your certificate of authenticity, okay, that we've been told we must have.
Well, and here's the irony, and from a practical, not that.
Believe me, practical has nothing to do with the
I
state
know,
of New Mexico and water
Common
rights.
sense has never run rampant, okay, so let's go there. That being said, what kills me about this whole thing is I'm supplementing the village's existing water.
It's coming from the same water column. You know, we have to prove our wells, we have to pump them up, we have to show that we still have the volume. And so anytime that we do a well, you know, that we have to prove that because we're all pulling out of the same cup. That's the issue. It's not that yours is going somewhere else and we're getting somewhere else. It's all this watershed. Most of our water rights come from Eagle Creek anyway, that we bring over. And then it's into the diversion. But it comes back to all the stuff that we've been through over all the years, the many legal battles, which we've won tremendous amount of them lately in the last probably 6 years. Because we started following the rules, making sure, proving up our wells. We're the only ones that has meters. You hadn't had a meter on that well. Do you get one now? Oh, no, that'd be too invasive. That's what they tell us in the valley.
Well, I'm not in the valley. I would assume if I complete the well, there's going to be a meter on it
Yeah.
because the village is going to hold me accountable for whatever
And then we have
water
to
that
go-
I'm allowed to use out of that well.
And
for.
somebody will need to go check it. And we haven't set that up at all.
Well, who checks the one in the middle of my driveway? You're going to be able to.
Those are meters that's on a separate system that's all tied into the phone system and it reports in. So, I mean, it's just a different situation. Were you going to say something?
Olivia was going to say something.
Olivia?
The permit that has been issued for a new well from the state
Does anybody else have any other questions? Any other statements?
One point on that, if I may say, irrespective of application, what came back after the state engineer looked at this, is they clearly treated this as a replacement well. That's very clear. And you're not gonna get a replacement well if you don't have a water right, and the state engineer recognizes that water right is there.
But then they recounted it when we called them. That's what I'm saying. The off,
They have recounted, you can call down there frankly on any given day of the week and talk to two different people and get two different answers on the same subject.
and that's the whole point, that right there, is that we follow our rules that are in our ordinances, all of these kind of things to protect the whole water system.
Why didn't you respond to his email that said other than? If you called him and it contradicted what he sent you in writing, why didn't you respond?
Well, we
to
don't
it
see
and
that
say,
as contradictory. It's other than, I'm issuing you in this water well, but there's no other water rights that you have besides what I'm giving you right now. That's the way I read it. It's not a mystery to me. It's like, here, I'm giving you a permit for this water right, but on that property, there's no other water rights. That's the way I read it. So, but what we had, our agreement with you was that you said you had this information, you were going to find it, so that's what we were expecting.
And I don't have, it's not in my deed.
And that's what I'm saying, it's not
I
there,
answered
so.
that in the beginning.
So what we've got to decide is, he obviously has the water. He's been using it. Okay? I mean, I don't think that's in dispute at all.
Right.
And so what you have to decide is that the OSE just made a mistake, but in reality, there was no mistake, even after they told us it was a mistake. And you have to uphold it that this is not a replacement well. I mean, it is a replacement well, not a new well. Okay, and that from now on, it's metered and he has to fill out his reports just like we do. Right? Is that what I'm being told? So at this point, what you're going to have to make up your mind is this an existing water right that he's using, that he's just asking for a simple replacement? He's going to re-drill it, conform to all the deal, or it's all null and void because we don't have that certificate or the number with it.
Exactly.
So that, all this back and forth, and that's why I get so frustrated with the OSC, because they come down on us hard and fast on so many different things, that we spend thousands and hundreds of thousands of dollars proving that we're following the rules, only for them to say, well, she don't work here anymore, we got a new guy. It's ridiculous.
Mr. Mayor, if I may, so if we approve this,
Yeah.
then does OSC get to come down on us and go, hey, wait a minute, we told you that thing he didn't have one?
No.
And does it then reverse it all back around again?
Then.
I don't think so. I think that the OSC just dumped it on us, and that it's up to us to make it right. And this, if nothing else, this council has always been, we believe in property rights. We believe in free enterprise, we believe in business, but we have a duty to provide health, safety, welfare, water security, financial security, and those are things that we're very good at. So anytime that we're told, no, you can't do it, and then it's obvious that it's being done, then that's the dichotomy that's why you get paid the big bucks, folks, is that you're going to have to make the decision in your mind which side you agree with.
And you're
Well, I'd
going to
like
look
to ask
after
that.
all citizens' rights.
What do you think
Right.
of the taking?
So
And yours is in there too.
That's,
And that's the whole point. We're trying to protect your rights with the overall rights of it. And then usually when we have paperwork, it makes it simple. But then there's sometimes we have to reach out on a limb. We seem to be far out on a limb today. So is there any other discussion?
I was asking Zach what his opinion is on the taking. Is or isn't?
I'm not going to say it is or it isn't. I'm going to say that Mr. Martin has already suggested that will be a question in front of the district court. I think the facts of this case are very different than the other cases that we've had. How the judge is going to fall, I don't know. But my sense is that if you deny the application or uphold the denial, that we'll be in district court on it.
Sure.
And then we're just passing the buck. Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion to approve the appeal submitted by Don Conserve for denial of a domestic well permit for 107 West Riverside Drive, continued from the April 9th, 2024 council meeting.
Second.
Okay, so we have a motion to approve, right, his request. Okay, does anybody else have any discussion on this?
Question, Mayor. Zach, if this is approved, is this subject to the 0.25%
No,
acre foot?
no,
No.
it'd be 1 acre foot.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, everybody good and clear? Roll call, please, ma'am.
Counselor Hooker,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Eby,
Aye.
Counselor Jackson,
No.
and Counselor Corey.
Aye.
Motion passes.
There you go. Sorry it took so long.
No, and I apologize, it just to get to point, and as I said last time I was here, all I'm trying to do is the right thing.
And that's what
I'm not trying to skirt anything, and so I appreciate,
well, we try to give everybody their due diligence to look at it, but when we call the OSC and they're like, hey, we're sorry, they sent an email, it's like, okay. And so I was expecting, okay, well, here's something in my deed, and then it would have been a quick deal.
well, and
And then it's not.
in my previous life, I dealt with them a lot for water disposal wells in Eddie and Lee County. So I fully understand. Everything you said here about what happens with that office, I've seen and lived. So I appreciate it. I only want to do better for Rio Dosa, not work, been here for a long time. That's
Well,
what I was
and
trying to-
I-
I just want,
And I
I just wanna make
appreciate
sure
you.
everybody understands.
I
And I
appreciate you
appreciate
being, steadfast in keeping after it, because obviously we need to have more conversations about our responsibilities and what we're supposed to be doing, because we get told all the time. And then we have these little things like this that cause an earthquake, and then we go back and it's like, never mind, and then we move forward. So I apologize that it took so long, and you're going to miss your flight.
Here's the one thing I will say, just where, I look at the history of Rio Dosa, and I look at what y'all are empowered to do, is Rio Dosa goes from a seasonal village to a small town, and the history you inherited and the jobs you have, I wouldn't trade with you for love or money, okay? So I don't sit in that chair, but I understand what goes on in that chair. So thank you very much.
Thank you very much. All right, thank you, Ashley. Thank you, Chris. Okay, well, item number 2 is discussion on possible action on Resolution 2024-18, a resolution amending the Village of Ruidoso Personnel Policy, Chapter 6, Section 20, Medical Insurance. Yes, ma'am.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Before you today, I have a resolution to amend that chapter in the personnel policy, but I want to I'll loop back around at the end to talk about that. Sure. Yeah. The comparison, yep. So, and I did give everybody a handout, looking at this document here on top. And she'll bring it up on the screen as well. Yes. So, it is open enrollment time. New benefits go into effect July 1. Had a series of meetings with Hub, our insurance broker. We are, give me just a second, I'm sorry. So on our current plan, the $500 deductible plan, we know that's a very rich plan. We all appreciate that plan. You can't beat that plan. But we were facing an 8.5% increase with just insurance costs in general going up year to year. We put our heads together and we know that we want to be able to offer an additional plan to our employees that may be more, a lower cost plan for them. And so that's what we're looking at today. On that comparison, I'm going to call it our 500 plan, which is our $500 deductible, and then our $3,000 plan, which is the additional plan that we'd like to talk to you about. So it still has great coverage, but it does have a higher deductible and less premiums for the employee. There are a few things to look at there, but as far as office visit copays and specialist copays will go up $20 each. There will be the out-of-pocket max will also increase. Emergency room copays and urgent care does have an increase as well. But it will, if you go to the second page there, Mayor and Council, it will give our employees an option for what fits them best. We want to be able to give those choices to our current staff and our future staff coming on. So if you look at that second page, on the second column, this is currently what the plan that we have today and how many employees are enrolled in each tier. If we take a look at that $500 plan and pair it with the $3,000 plan, we would estimate that hopefully we would have 25% of our staff, if not more, consider that higher deductible plan, which would save them money out of they'd have more money on their paycheck. It would also have a cost savings to the village of $74,665, which is on the far right of that bottom section. And that's just with an assumption that we would have 25%. We may end up having quite a bit more employees interested in that plan, and which would be a higher cost savings to the village and the employee. We feel it's a win-win both ways. The employee contribution for that particular plan is $89.44. That is a monthly, so an employee would be looking at $45 a paycheck to have good insurance coverage at a lower cost to them while not changing the $500 plan at all for others that want that one.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
question, Cheryl. Are these, do we pay the insurance pre-tax?
You can.
You can. You have an option.
Oh, the employee elects for that?
Yes.
And second question, are we participating in any type of wellness program?
Counselor, that is something that the village is looking at doing. We're not currently. We've done some wellness events in the past. We would, with this $500 plan, I believe, I don't think I brought that with me. We would get some wellness money to put into play.
Okay. And are we on any self-insurance mode at all?
No.
No.
No. This
I,
is,
we've kind of kicked that around a little bit in past history, but it was found to not work out. Judy can shake her head more. And it was just not there. So what we've tried to do this time is because the younger people don't seem to be, they won't want the money rather than the bennies. So what we've talked about is those, and we've got a breakdown of what percentages that'll be that's reflective of the savings. But then also if those people find love, like I was making a joke in one department and the other, and they decide to get married and have kids, that we would counsel them that they need to switch over to this other insurance. Because one of them is more like a catastrophe policy. And so we were just trying to find out, A, how to save some money, still keep good insurance. B, attract people to the village, because that is one of the things that we find out in the younger folks, that they don't really care about it until they get older.
And Mayor and Council. Until they're in an accident.
yeah.
Yeah.
That would suck up $3 grand.
Well, it has a maximum on it
Yes.
that they can have a what's it called, savings plan. This is the one that, no.
No, but Mayor and Council, we do offer a flex
Yes.
savings account of FSA currently, and employees can put money away, pre-tax dollars away into that to help pay for co-pays and glasses and other off-the-shelf items.
So then it gets right back down to, I'm not going to get my money in my check. And so, we're trying to give options here to be attractive.
And Mayor and Council, our current plan is 80-20 on the contributions. The employee is 20,
This would be a 90-10, is what we're looking at.
The employee would pay 10%.
10%, yes.
And
The village,
for
90%.
spousal and family,
Correct.
it's 100%?
No, it's all 90-10 for either you're single,
The village subsidizes family coverage.
yes, all
Yeah,
coverages.
Every bit.
It's a
Yes.
great benefit.
Yes.
Well, and you'd think that'd be attractive enough,
Yeah.
but what we're finding out with younger folks, that's not what they're thinking about. So this is another option to try to make it attractive where they could, and then later they could switch.
One more thing I'll add, the $3,000 deductible plan is a 6% decrease from our current rates and 14.5% decrease from the $500 deductible renewal rate. Let's see, between the two plans, we would have a overall increase of 5.4 as opposed to the 8.5,
Okay,
so.
Actually, that's not a bad
no.
increase.
And really what we were getting to, council, Rafa was in the meeting. And we've looked at these over the years, and it's constantly going up, and HUB has done a really great job of, because they always come back with a big rate. We looked at Presbyterian, we'd love to do something, but they're so far out of our ballpark. This is great policy, you can go anywhere and get it. United didn't even put in a bid. And so we've been with Blue Cross Blue Shield now, 6, 7 years? Somewhere in that neighborhood. The last changeover was traumatic because of start and stop dates. And so we were looking at the least painful, but we're getting into a realm, and you'll see it in budget hearings, that we're getting to our maximum, the point of no return on rates. That's why we're looking at the enterprise funds and all the different things, that we're getting to that point of not being sustainable. And so this is one of those things that we still think we can be on that path. We know we can be on that path. But in the future, the only things is going to be raising the deductibles, to $1,000. But we even looked at raising the deductibles from the 500 to the 750 or whatever, and the change was so insignificant.
Yes.
So it's going to have to be a drastic look. And so what we're looking at is, we want the employees to have it, to use it, to maintain their health. But just some of the younger folks, they don't think about it if they don't have a family. And so this gives us another tool when we're doing recruiting methods, is kind of the thought. Anything to add to that, Cheryl?
Mayor, council, no, the only thing would just circle back around to the resolution 2024-18, just changing up that section, chapter 6, section 20 on the medical insurance.
Mayor, I move approval of Resolution 2024-18, a resolution amending the Village of Ruidoso Personnel Policy, Chapter 6, Section 20, Medical Insurance.
Second.
Any discussion? Roll call, please, ma'am.
Counselor Corey?
Aye.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Hooker?
Aye.
Counselor Solis?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
All right.
Thank you, Cheryl.
I'll tell you, I know this is all my fault, because I am not in step today, and I've made it difficult for everybody. With the water, with the other stuff, it's just not good leadership, so don't take any notes today, folks, please.
No,
I don't know why I'm taking it so hard to.
Well, I'm not
I thought I had it all cleared up this morning
we're still moving.
in
so
my
we're good.
mind, and none of it's come out. So it's adapt and overcome for sure. Item number 3, discussion and possible action on approval of contract with High Mountain Youth Project to provide mentoring at-risk youth experience homelessness at the overnight shelter in the amount of $100,000. Yes.
Mayor, council, they did receive their final permit from CYFD. They are in operations. Now, this is the agreement that we had prepared back in August, and we want to move forward. We have to have this money has to be spent by June 30th. Judy and I will work with the High Mountain Youth the financial person, and that's Dr. Alred, and we're willing to get that done. We feel we're going to spend the money down. It's $100,000, but we have a month to do it.
And
So
this was junior bill money before it was changed to grow money.
that's correct. This is last year's funding.
So we got to get on
Yeah.
it there at the cusp, and we think we can get it
We feel we're
done.
going to get it done. Judy and I are going to work with their staff and work hard on that. We still have to submit the reimbursements to the Department of Finance, and we hope to get that through, so.
But Ron, what's the turnaround time from when you submit to when you get the funds?
Let me have Judy. She works with our staff there, so.
Counselor Mayor, it depends.
It depends.
Could you be less vague?
Is this a plumbing problem?
Are you with the OSC?
No, I work with DFA. But, so the good thing about this appropriation are there are no notice of obligations. We can just directly apply for reimbursement. However, the project manager that we have is very strict. And so if there's a date that's wrong, period that's out of place,
Sent back.
it gets sent back. So once we get that all to her liking and what she thinks should be, it could be anywhere from 2 to 4 weeks to get the money in. So I have until July 15th to submit all my canceled checks and invoices. So we have told High Mountain Youth that they will have a cutoff of June 15th to submit us their documentation so that I can turn around, pay them, get my stuff ready for reimbursement to DFA, because not only do I have to send our canceled check, I have to send all their invoices with their canceled checks. And from what we're looking like, it's going to be a lot of invoices and a lot of paperwork. And we're at the end, so we're going to be pushing it. But I'm pretty confident that we can get it all done.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve contract with High Mountain Youth Project to provide mentoring for at-risk youth experiencing homelessness at an overnight shelter in the amount of $100,000.
Second.
Final discussion? Roll call, please, ma'am.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
Aye.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Hooker?
Aye.
Counselor Corey?
Abstain.
You're on the board. Item number 4, discussion on and possible action on award to White Sands Construction, Inc., utilizing statewide price agreement number 30-5-23-3-7. How'd that go over there, Doc?
I like that.
Just seeing if I'm getting
What do you
something.
mean you're off? You're
I
right
gotta
on
get
it.
some mojo running here, man.
That's right.
For the Horton Phase 2 East Wing purchase and installation of an emergency natural gas generator in the amount of $177,308.51.
Mayor Cropper, members of the council, just as our emergency manager spoke about generators, we wanted to move forward quickly on this project and have a natural gas generator there at the Horton complex. It'll be the east wing only. It'll also include our EOC. We have we're going to have another backup for our IT and some of the offices there. And this is on the Phase 2 portion of it. They'll order it and get it installed, and we feel this, staff feels recommending this would be great to have it for our EOC.
Okay?
Mr. Mayor, I'll make a motion.
Yes, sir.
I'll make a motion to approve the award to White Sands Construction, Inc., utilizing statewide price agreement 3-5-23-3-7 for Horton Phase 2 East Wing purchase and installation of an emergency natural gas generator in the amount of $177,308.51, including an MGRT.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please, ma'am.
Counselor Hooker?
Aye.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Corey?
Aye.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
Aye.
Awesome, thank you. Item number 5, discussion and possible action on adoption of Resolution 2024-16, a resolution authorizing submission of an aviation grant application AIP project 3-35-0052-032-2024 with the Federal Aviation Administration and authorization to accept the resulting grant offer and to authorize the mayor to sign a grant agreement and serve as the sponsor's authorized representative for the parallel Taxi A, Connector Taxi A1, and Apron Crack Seal and Seal Coat project. Woo, that's a long run on, baby. In the amount of $491,250.08, including gross receipts tax. Mr. Lee.
All right, so we're trying to put in for a grant for the FAA to fund a crack seal and surface seal project for taxiway Alpha, the connector, and a portion of the ramp in front of the terminal. So it's a 90-9-1 split. So the FAA 90%, the state will pay 9%, and the village will have 1%, which will come out to approximately $5,000 for the village.
Sweet.
And Mayor and Council, as we discussed before, this is our approach to try and work on all of the paving first, so that once our master plan approaches come up, we can start working on that moving forward versus having to pave what we're putting into the plan. So this is trying to get us ahead of the game moving forward.
Excellent.
In Mayor and Council, on the FAA grants, we've already went to bid. We had one bid. We can't award the bid. Now we have to send that number to the FAA with the state aviation costs for the Armstrong, for our engineering, and at that time, whenever they're awarded, then we will award the contractor. But they do it backwards. That's just the way the FAA works on that, so.
Mayor, I move to approve Resolution 2024-16. That's how we did it in the last century, so.
Okay.
And Savida.
Exactly.
Second.
Okay, we have a motion and second. Any discussion? Joe, are you okay down there? Okay. Roll call, please, ma'am.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Corey?
Aye.
Counselor Hooker?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
Aye.
Excellent. Thank you very much. Item number 6, good job, guys. Appreciate it, Lee. Discussion and possible action on officer retention agreement following guidelines of House Bill 2, set forth by the New Mexico Department of Finance Authority to pay employees a single retention payment on the condition that employee agrees to remain employed in good standing with the Ruidoso Police Department for a period of 1 year. Yes, sir, Chief.
Mr. Mayor, Council, this is part of the 3-year agreement provided to us from the Department of Public Safety and the Department of Finance Authority with the officer retention bonuses or stipends. They're not bonuses, they're stipends.
And so these will be able to go to every officer?
Yes, to every
regardless of
officer, and
tenure?
it was the same one that we did last year, the exact same one that we did last year. They will have the same contract for 1-year retention on each of the officers. And we can provide lateral officers that come in with stipends also, if we can get them hired. The one thing I did learn this morning is that with the reinstatement, with the change of the return to work, they do not qualify for.
Return to work doesn't qualify.
Yep, return to work does not qualify for it, because it wasn't written into the law.
Okay, and so this is 7,500.
Yes, sir.
Last time it was limited to certain officers that. had
Yes,
so much time.
on the amount of time and stuff. This time, we went straight across the board at 7,500, since we're not able to, give raises or anything else. And instead of just giving certain officers more or with other retentions, we just decided to do it that way.
And 18 is, I thought we had 22. Are
We're
we not counting the code enforcement?
No, sir, they don't qualify for this, because these retentions go to officers that would typically get benefits from the Law Enforcement Protection Fund, and you have to be a certified officer through DPS. Yes, sir.
And this is trying to help combat the governor's 13% pay raise to the state police again this year.
38% over the last 3 years.
Yep.
Yes.
Good if you can get it. I'm not arguing they don't deserve it, but where do you get it? Okay, anybody else have any questions, or do we want to give Mr. GQ what he came here for?
I'll make a motion to approve the officer retention agreement following guidelines of House Bill 2, set forth by the New Mexico Department of Finance Authority to pay employees a single retention payment on the condition that employee agrees to remain employed in good standing with the Ruidoso Police Department for a period of 1 year.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Counselor Hooker?
Aye.
Counselor Jackson?
Aye.
Counselor Corey?
Aye.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
Aye.
Thank you. Item number
Thank you.
7, discussion and possible action on change order number 3 with Mesa Verde Enterprise ITB number 2023-018B, Links Trail, PA. What's PA?
It's engineering jargon. I'm not sure what it is
And
actually.
I love those. I always want 3, to reclaim the existing asphalt trail in lieu of removing and hauling the existing asphalt, reducing overall cost by $41,835. No sense. PA 4, blading and reshaping trail to meet ADA compliant cross slope of less than 2%. I thought it was 3.
Our engineers have assured us it's 2. I thought it was 3 as well.
Okay, with price increase of $24,959, no cents, in the additional 14 working days, resulting in a cost reduction of $18,257.72, and an addition of 14 working days.
Mayor and council, so these are one change order, 2 items in it. The first one is they are actually going to be grinding the old trail, packing that material down instead of hauling that asphalt away, bringing in base course. So that's where the cost savings on that's the trucking and then the base course cost. And then the second one is changing the trail. They have to do some infield engineering, I would call it, or infill changes of changing the trail to a 2% grade side to side versus, we thought it was pretty close, but there are some places that it was over 2%. And so to bring it back to that ADA, 2% across that. So these 2 changes are.
Mayor,
Yes, sir.
what section are they grinding?
So all of it.
All of it?
Yeah, the contractors are not the best at listening, and they started the grinding already. It has worked really well. They wanted to start a small portion to try it and make sure it worked before we did a full change order, and it has, and that's actually what they did right here on this portion. That was their kind of their test area.
Just right here down the hill, or at the end of Kansas City Road, then that's all bog. And there's always the compaction.
And there is still some material cost in there for them to bring in material.
Okay.
And so if they do have to bring in material for those areas, we did leave some material cost in there.
Good.
Because they had to fill in for like over by the drive going into the convention center. And if you're going down into heading south on the trail, that angle of that was too much, and so they had to fill in some dirt to that area. And so.
Okay.
Mayor, question. Ron, did we get clarification about them saying that's closed?
Yes, they've.
Crawford, Greg, Mr. Corey, all have, go ahead, Matt.
Yes,
Mike?
I've talked to the contractors and they've taken down those trail closed signs and, they're just flagging. They told me they did that day. And they took down the ones off the bridge. They've been gone.
It's a loaded question.
So I know Councilor Corey's
Unless you've seen other ones.
It was up yesterday.
Okay.
Okay, I'll go. Is it the one over by Dog Park or?
I think it was over here. I had a couple of walkers complain that.
Mayor and council,
Make the loop.
the only place they've actually left trail closed is where there's fresh asphalt supposedly. That's what they told us, so that they couldn't walk on it for a couple of hours.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Outside of
If that's
it,
the case,
they've
that's
left,
understandable.
but they've been moving. So like, for example, when they redid the trail right by the bridge, there was it was a trail closed sign right on top of the bridge, and then there was one right as they made the turn. They moved those a couple of hours later, and when they did more reclamation and more re-asphalting, there was 2 more signs that were laid just in that area, but the trail itself, they've removed them from multiple areas.
And Mayor Crawford, Councilor Corey, let's make sure that the inspector from Bohannon, Houston, let's make sure he lets us know if they see any, closure signs or whatnot, so that would keep us in the loop.
Yes, sir, definitely.
Because I know Councilor Corey, he's on that
Yeah, but
trail a
since
lot.
you've been watching out the window, I'm having to go.
Go the other way.
Baloo likes the new trail. He thinks it's great.
Good.
And I think and on a serious note, the way they feathered it and graded it beside the new pours is perfect. I mean, before it was just a fall off, and they've gone out of their way to make it look very professional, and it's easier to walk on.
And the 2% grade, I don't know if you can't tell, but it does make a significant difference.
Okay, can you get a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve change order number 3, the Mesa Verde Enterprise for ITB number 2023-018B Links Trail PA3 to reclaim the existing asphalt trail in lieu of removing and hauling the existing asphalt, reducing overall cost by $41,835. PA4, blading, and reshaping trail to meet ADA-compliant cross-slope of less than 2% with a price increase of $24,959 and an additional 14 working days, resulting in a cost reduction of $18,257.72 and an addition of 14 working days.
Second.
Okay, any discussion? Roll call?
Counselor Hooker,
Aye.
Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Corey,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
Aye.
All right, thank you very much. Schoolhouse Park looks really good. It's looking really good. Item number 8, discussion and possible action on change order number 1 with Arminix Construction, Inc. to increase the contract time from April 30th, 2024 to May 28, 2024, and increase the project amount by $16,769.06, including New Mexico GRT, for a total project cost of $291,249.40 for completion of ITB number 2024-006B flood damage repair at water plant number 1.
Oh, sorry, thank you. Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. This change order, as they were doing the construction, they realized not enough grout was called out to fill in the bottom portion under Water Treatment Plant 1. And so this change order is to allow them to go ahead and fill in that grout for that remaining gap and to help solidify the structure. So that way, if any flood comes through, any future floods, the structure won't fail, our Water Treatment Plant number 1, and everything will stay into place.
Sounds good.
Okay, sounds pretty good to me.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve change order number 1 with Arminix Construction, Inc. to increase the contract time from April 30th, 2024 to May 28th, 2024, and increase the project amount by $16,769.06, including New Mexico GRT, for a total project cost of $291,249.40 for completion of ITB number 2024-006B as in Bravo, flood damage repair at water plant number 1.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please.
Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Corey,
Aye.
Counselor Hooker,
Aye.
Counselor Salas,
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
Aye.
Okay, very good. And Vaughn, I sent you an email that's going to Mayor Pro Tem, so I'll get that. Item number 9, discussion and possible action on change order number 1 with KD Huey Company LLC for ITB number 2023-010B-well H1979S3 River Well. We're all getting to know that one real well. And a well H1979S13 modifications, re-advertisement to increase the contract time by an additional 20 days and to increase the cost by $28,600.13, including New Mexico GRT, for the total project cost of $698,860.50, including New Mexico GRT. Yes, ma'am, who's up?
I am.
Okay.
So when they were out drilling, they realized once they got to about 137 feet that the borehole was unstable. For this change order is to go ahead and increase the borehole size and the casing, and this will allow us to stabilize the borehole to prevent future collapse of this well.
Is there any kind of guarantee on that? A warranty? 'Cause I've been down this hole before.
Yep.
And it goes down so far, and then it's more and more. And I know we can only do what we can do, and this is a pretty good well, so. Okay, any questions from either one of them? Okay, can I get a motion?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve change order number 1 with KD Huey Company LLC for ITB 2023-010B well H 1979 S3 River Well and well H 1979 S13 modifications to increase the contract time by an additional 20 days and increase costs by $600.13, including New Mexico GRT, for a total project cost of $698,860.50, including NMGRT.
Second.
Okay. Roll call, please.
Counselor Jackson,
Aye.
Counselor Solis,
Aye.
Counselor Corey,
Aye.
Counselor Hooker,
Aye.
Counselor Eby.
Aye. Thank you.
Thank you.
And then we'll move on to boards and commission appointments. I don't think I have any. I think we have a vacancy on one that we're looking for. Library, yes. So if we know anybody, library,
T-Bone he may already know someone.
okay, because we never got in touch with the other one.
Right.
You do? Okay, would you get me their apps and that way we can get that moving? Okay. Oh, do you? Awesome. Sweet. Love that. Now we'll move on to village manager's report.
Mayor.
Village manager, go.
Mayor Crawford, members of the council, we're going to have the 2023 annual water quality report, even with his new Vikings hat, Mayor.
Yeah, that's a new hat. He's only been
Randy
around
Kane,
since-
so
I think it was actually worn by Leif Erikson. I can tell by
Probably.
might have been
Eric the
Fran
Red,
Tarkington.
maybe.
I think it was Fran Tarkington. All right.
Yeah, Carl Eller? No.
Joe Cap.
Well, good afternoon, Mayor, council members. Randy Kane, Water Production Manager. Doing a quick presentation on the 2023 reporting year for the CCR. And we're actually pretty way ahead of schedule because it's not due until July 1st. Because if you exceed that, then you're going to get a violation. But I wanted to make sure I got it out early and got everything done on time. So the first slide is the cover of the 2023 CCR. I just wanted to give special thanks to Carrie Gladden. She helped me out with finding the right pictures. And I also wanted to say thanks to Mark Stambrough for letting us use these awesome pictures. The whole goal was to find the pictures that really showcased Ruidoso and to show how beautiful it is and what to show everybody that it's a great place to be and great place to live. So, second slide. The first part of this is our commitment continues. It's a brief description of the annual quality report. It also shows the dedication, to providing safe and dependable supply of water to the residents of Ruidoso. So it's real important for us to have a really good report. So count on us. This part is real important to me because this is my tribute to the water production employees for a job well done. It kind of gives a brief description of their job functions and what they do on a daily basis. So the very last part of the sentence or the paragraph, it says, so the next time when you turn on the faucet, think of the skilled professionals in the village of Ruidoso that stand behind each drop. So, I wish that people would understand everything that they have to do to get the water, to the residents. So that part's real important to me. So, the slide also shows information about lead in the home plumbing and important health information and the water treatment process. The third slide. This slide shows what substances that could be in the water and where the water comes from. It also describes information on the source water protection plan and the source water protection planning process. The fourth slide. This slide shows the water quality data for 2023. It shows what was sampled and tested and the results for the year. This slide is the one that everybody wants to look at because they want to know what's in their water. And the test results for 2023 are pretty good. There's no violations, and that's the key right there.
Well, that's on your next page.
It
You
is.
blew the big surprise, dude.
Well, actually, I wanted to put it in there twice because it's
so
you know
nice.
how hard it is to go without having any
No,
violations?
I was going to give you a standing ovation.
That's
but
right.
You've done an awesome job.
So, and then the final slide, this is the page where the violations usually go
Yes.
and explain. But since we don't have any violations, we try to put in all the water accomplishments for the water department for 2023. It's kind of a way to showcase the accomplishments and the important projects that were completed. And there's quite a few of them. And then so the other part of the slide shows the definitions for the water quality table. So it shows a little bit of, explanation on all the items. And that is my quick presentation.
Well, I appreciate the quickness of it.
Good job.
But you've done a remarkable job, and I can remember years ago when I came on, John Pajacqua,
Yep.
Joe Savage were climbing our trees. They were with the state whatever they are.
Yeah.
They were threatening to take us over. We went over to your plant. They couldn't even find the standard operating procedure manual. It was used to hold up a table so that it wouldn't be unleveled. The floors were dirty. Your place is clean. Everything is done just perfect. You guys have done a fantastic job to now then. I don't know if everybody sitting here knows this, but Ruidoso, because of what Randy and his staff has done, is held as the example of what to do. And now then he's seen as the expert. Before we were the poster children for not what to do.
Well, what Joe Savage would tell me, he said years ago, they would bring all the crew or the new people that were coming on board, they would bring them to Ruidoso so they could show them, how bad it is. But he said there's no way they could do that now because we're so far from the,
Good job, Randy.
Well, Randy, I don't think it can be, Mr. Mayor, I don't think that it can be overstated about no violations. If I were you, I'd have that in a larger font, I'd have it in white, and I'd have it rimmed in blue.
So when is this going to be mailed out?
This should be, so what I did is I talked to Kathy from Gemini, because I knew this was going to come up, so. She doesn't know, I guess, once it gets printed and it gets sent out, then she gets confirmation, and then it comes through to me, but I asked her, I said, it should be out by the end of the month, and she agrees, so hopefully.
Randy, this is required annually?
Oh, yeah, yes, sir.
Yeah.
Consumer Confidence Report, CCR?
They had talked about doing it biannually, but that's not into play, yes.
And a couple of years ago, after COVID, while a restaurant was shut down for so long, they had water storage inside their building that after chlorine sets for a long time, it creates.
Trihalomethanes.
There you go.
Haloacetic acids.
Yes. And so when we were testing and they were getting back open, they dumped that and we picked it up. And so we found out, they didn't give us a violation for that, did they?
No.
Yeah, because we figured out where it came from.
Sure.
But that's how sensitive this water system is and how good these guys do a great job.
Did we change that testing site didn't we talk about that, moving it from Cattle Barons to?
Well, what we
another?
did is we actually, we put it out front, because we had the sampling site inside the building.
Inside.
But now it's actually out front near the road. We have a sampling port, so.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was, we broke the record for the highest number. It was 880.
And it took us a while to get back down.
Actually, it takes you a whole year
Yeah.
because it takes 4 quarters to get that high number knocked
That
off.
high number done.
So, but I'm telling you, with not having any violations, it's a big deal. I mean, because, a lot of towns like Albuquerque, they get a lot,
Oh, yeah, 300 times a year.
But I tell you what, I give a lot of credit to the guys because, Terry's done a good job with the SCADA, and it alarms us and it lets us know when there's an issue, and it gives us enough time to take care of it before it becomes a violation. So.
And that's with all the money that it's been appropriated to it, so
But if you hear nothing going on, I mean,
it's good news.
that's a good news because, everything's running smooth, so. Joe did make a comment about the report and the reports. He says, Ruidoso and Alamogordo put out the best water quality reports in the state of New Mexico. And I thought that was kind of
That
a good
is good.
compliment,
Absolutely.
It's a way to kind of showcase, what we do.
Next time I walk by one of those knockoff NFL shops, and I walk right by the Raiders hats, I'm gonna go get him a brand new one.
Yeah.
Brand new Viking hat.
Yeah. So, I had a scratch on my arm and I looked down and, God, my blood was purple.
Ah,
You really should be seen.
Standing ovation. And your crew.
very good job, man. You
Randy,
deserve it.
tell Mark I appreciate the fact that he highlighted the state flower of Kansas.
But aren't those awesome pictures?
They are.
Mayor and council, just a couple other updates. Tomorrow morning at 9:30, the New Mexico Mortgage Finance Authority, we have our Elk Meadows project at the board meeting, so
Does anybody know what that's about?
that's our apartment complex.
72 units, baby.
We're on the,
This is our third time at bat. I feel a home run
we'll
coming
keep our
on.
fingers crossed, and we should find something out tomorrow. And also, we did receive some Water Trust Board funds for a couple of projects. Want to just recognize Christella and Ashley. They've really been working hard on those Water Trust Board projects, and we're hoping to receive some awards letters and being able to move over. And one of them is going to be the country club area where the water project, we're still getting a lot of, Adam has a lot of leaks in that area. It's all the AC pipes, so that'd be just completely replacing all that line up there, so we're excited about that, so.
Good.
And I'll stand for any questions, Mayor.
603, were you going to give us the?
Oh, Mike's got to do that, yes, I jumped the gun on that, so.
Mayor, Ron, just a note, you did get the stats on the STRs in the report, and for the public, I mean, if you want to know what your village is about, get online and read the manager's report.
Yes.
It is an unbelievable document. So.
And now, Mayor Crawford, Councilor Corey, Mike and his staff there at the short-term rentals and the PD, because Lawrence worked with Katie, they got all the data together, so they went back, I think, 6 months on that, so.
Yes.
So, appreciate it.
Actually, the numbers were kind of encouraging. There
Oh, yes.
was a huge amount of complaints. I was confused. You had one number and then a slash and another.
So that's the actual number of issues on the total amount, and then you have the actual STR complaints. So there are complaints that happen outside of STRs. It could be your regular party at a regular home.
Oh, okay.
And so you'll have, I believe it's 12 of 24 or 7 of
Okay.
16, I
Okay, so
believe.
the first number is the STRs.
Well, that's the 7 was the, yes, the 7 was the STR, total was the.
Great job, thank you.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council. Good evening. The guys in the back said they wanted pepperoni pizza for dinner, so just like that. No. Based on 603, we did have some bad news last 2 weeks that we've been working with. There was an engineering snafu that we'd been trying to adjust. The data that came from the engineer that went to the surveyors was incomplete, and so they'd been rebuilding that data for the last 2 weeks. We got that taken care of. You have seen machinery out at 603. They've been moving. We've been renegotiating the amount of time that they're going to be spending there. So because they've missed certain days, you'll probably see some movement on weekends. And so we're trying to meet those timeframes. We do have one home that's complete. The second home will actually be complete in the next 2 days. So we'll have 2 homes that should be done here by the end of this week. you'll see movement starting on Thursday, again, Thursday, Friday, possibly Saturday and Sunday. Hopefully, the first plat will be done by the end of next week. We've been giving a 2-week period. That's conservative estimates, but we do believe that those plats will be ready to go and we'll start moving houses in here, hopefully at the beginning of June. And we'll move that time frame as quickly as we can to get all 10 homes in. Things are starting to move a little bit better. We did have a meeting this morning with HomeSpot. HomeSpot was excited and positive about what that looked like to move the homes in. And so we're still in discussions, weekly discussions, daily discussions with White Sands, HomeSpot, and the subcontractors. But I think we found a spot to start moving forward. Dirt work is starting, and it's starting to look good, like a community.
How many units?
10 units total. We did, related to 603, we did get another workforce housing grant for $1 million.
See?
So we're trying to figure out how that actually applies. There are some federal attachments to it, so we're trying to see where we can leverage it and how it can be applied to other forms that we're having of housing. So, but it's definitely a good sign, and we're hopefully going to hear about another $1 million grant here in the next week or two to be able to work towards workforce housing as well.
And Mayor Crawford, members of the council, that the $1 million from the feds was direct spending from our congressional delegation. Also, Christilla had noticed too of, for a sewer line project. What was the amount on that, Christilla? $1 million also on a sewer line for Pine Cliff.
And who do you know put that through on the federal delegation? Do you know who that was responsible? Who, Lujan?
Yes, to Lujan's office.
We did spend some time in his office. We talked about it, and with Heinrich too, but I was just curious, so that was great. Awesome.
Now,
Thank you.
open for any questions.
May I have any questions?
I've got a couple.
Yes, sir.
It seems that I always run into the people that are very negative and have all these, this is what's going to happen, Joe, this is what's going to happen. So just if you could address, like, say, drainage, ingress, egress, and also everything starts out with good intentions, but in 5 years, it's going to be run down. You're going to have all of this and the other thing coming through there, blah, blah, blah.
Yes, sir. So one of the things that we're focusing on with ingress egress, I believe we have a meeting next week. Is that correct, Adam? We've identified the plans to widen the ingress egress on that street. It's going to be 20 feet wide. We have the plans on how access will be into that area. If you haven't been out there already, it's kind of crazy. People are driving through there now that they see the road cut, so they're taking a look. But the road is wider. It will have all access points for ingress egress related to traffic that would come out of there. From a drainage perspective, we have identified, and there is engineered draining. That's one of the major delays that took place with the retaining walls. The draining that's coming through will in fact empty into an existing culvert that's back on that back half of the property to drain appropriately. We haven't changed anything related to that item, and so it'll continue draining as is. The construction that's going to be done is prepared for flooding or any other issues that would mitigate any of that situation from developing. I think one of the biggest concerns also that's come up, and Dr. Jackson brought this up a while ago, and I've heard others talk about it, is the reference back to Meacham Meadows and what that looks like. Things are outside in different areas. While we're working to address that issue there, we've already pre-addressed the issue at 603 Meacham by ordering 10x10s that are going to be specifically aligned and color-coded with the house. So from a storage perspective, it'll look like it has its own shed. I think what the important part is the people that are referencing, in 5 years it'll be run down and things of that nature. what I can say is that the village is taking exceptional steps to try and figure out how workforce housing and how our true workforce gets built into that. So whether it's families, whether it's teachers, whether it's nurses, whether it's other hospitality professionals that are in the industries here locally, because there isn't an AMI tied to it, we don't limit the individuals that are going to go into that area. And so I think you're going to see a much larger long-term rental commitment from what that looks like. I currently live on 603, and outside of that, I may be looking to move into a bigger 603 unit until I can sell my house, so that I can make sure my family has the ability to stay here. Right now, my wife is not very happy with a 600 square foot cabin, I can tell you that. So I gotta definitely get a bigger unit somewhere. But I think you're gonna see families work towards that component. I think we're working with multiple entities, but I think from the realtor's perspective, we're looking to show how that's a positive impact in our community. We're still working on a document to get that out into the public. You should start seeing what the neighborhood will look like. We're working on a property board that should come out here shortly. That took us a little bit of time to try and get in place, but White Sands is finalizing that and should be posting it out in front of 603 so that people can actually see what it will look like. I also think one of the big pieces, and Mayor has made reference to this from Meacham Meadows, but having that community aspect to it, that structure to it, the design, we're still going back to Meacham Meadows and we'll hopefully address those aesthetic pieces. But this in 603 actually accomplishes a lot of that. We address that, being proactive on some of those items. And so hopefully those address some concerns. We're never going to make everyone happy, but I do believe that those items will at least address the initial concerns that were brought forward. Yes.
That's a good explanation. And the other one is, well, if we did nothing, that's what's, we haven't been able to get anything accomplished in 25 years we looked at.
That's what I tell people.
But, you know, there's a few of those people, and then once we get that board up and we really make that into a community looking, I think it'll be an awesome place. Plus, with the outside RFP for the realtor, that makes a big difference on the inspections and making sure we keep those places up.
Yes, sir.
Yep, exactly.
Okay, good job.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, so now then is that everything? Does anybody have anything else for the manager? We have some closed session items, and so we'll need a motion to go into closed session, please.
Mr. Mayor, I move that we move into closed session for a discussion of limited personnel matters citing 1015-1 H2 NMSA 1978. Further discussion subject to the attorney-client privilege pertaining to threatened or pending litigation in which the Village of Ruidoso is or may become a participant, citing 1015-1 H7 NMSA 1978. And finally, discussion of the purchase, acquisition, and/or disposal of real property and/or water rights by the Village of Ruidoso, citing 1015-1 H8 NMSA 1978. Any action taken as a result of the closed session will be brought back into open session, and I so move.
Second.
Okay, roll call, please, ma'am.
Counselor Jackson? Aye. Counselor Corey?
Aye.
Counselor Hooker?
Aye.
Counselor Eby?
Aye.
Counselor Salas?
Aye.
Thank you all for coming that stayed out here through this marathon.
Jennifer Thomas.
Yes, thank you. Thank you, thank you, thank you.
Oh, yeah, you're on your way to Alabama.
In Alamogordo, and they said that they have a film crew that is. Let's have her on the